once again, we are here together. And as I acknowledge that nothing happens by chance, they were all here by divine appointment. Before they call, I will answer. And while they're yet speaking, I will hear. And that energy is the energy of our higher power, whatever name we want to put on it. So for our viewing audience, you tuned in at this moment for your divine appointment. And as we gather together, I want to acknowledge Interfaith Spiritual Center worldwide. I want our viewing audience to know it's because of this beautiful community put out this message to the multitudes, to the World Wide Web, to Facebook and other social media. We receive amazing letters from all over the world of people's lives touched and transformed. Lau, who, her name is Felix Lau. It's a Turkish last name, and I'm going to know I love you, Lau. And she told me that she has watched every single video that we have ever published going back 10 years ago, and that it has touched her at a level. And when I was asked to speak at the University of Istanbul Medical Center, she met us at the Divan Hotel, and she rode with us to the university. She was there when I gave my talk, and then the following day, she used to be a tour guide, so she took us out for the entire day and evening touring Istanbul, the art galleries and things that we may not have really seen. And of course the Grand Mosque is the Grand Bazaar, where every kind of crafter and energy and spices, and it just was a magical time. So this message, because of you, the Interfaith Spiritual Center, worldwide community, this message can go out and touch the lives of millions. I saw that someone put on Facebook that she wanted to reach, her message to reach billions. See, the fact when we are practicing the presence of God in our daily life, which is our temple and our religion, that's all we got. Our daily life is our temple and our religion. When we are practicing the presence of God, whatever we conceive our God to be, that is the ripple effect. That is what moves on and out into waves. The Africans have a word called Ubuntu. And Ubuntu means, I am because we are. I am because we are. Ubuntu. And the beautiful sociologist told the story of when he was in Africa. He was going to create a little game. So he got this whole big basket of wonderful treats and candies, and he said, I'll put it here, and you go over there to the far tree, and whoever runs the fastest, they get that whole bowl of goodies. And much to his surprise, they all locked arms, all the little children, and ran together to the basket of goodies. And he said, why did you lock arms? He said, one of you could have won it all. And a little spoke up and said, how can one of us be happy if the rest of us are sad? Ubuntu. I am because we are. And that when we really get it, that we are a species. And you know that I just got back from Scotland speaking at the International Congress of Arts, Communication, Science, and Technology. And it was 40 countries represented energetically. And I've been speaking at this venue since 2008 when I originally went to Oxford, England. And to meet with all these amazing people that have a single mind for peace. And they're particularly, they were Muslim, they're married, they're Muslim professors. And they are just the Swiss people. And the last day she said, I have a present for you. And she gave me this amazing necklace. And it was, you know, it was a bright, bright butterfly with all these stones in it, and with the wings. And I wore it the night of the banquet, because I told her, in our way of life, the butterfly means transformation. In all of the graduations that creates that butterfly, even though the little cartoon has caterpillars looking at each other, and they're looking at the butterfly, and one turns to the other and says, you'll never get me up in one of those things. Life is about evolution and unfoldment. Julie and Paul Hernandez, who is our videographer, and is faithfully here every Sunday to put this message out, stepped on board with Neil Donald Walsh, The Evolution Revolution, and his book about A Message from God, You Got Me All Wrong. And what Neil was doing is putting out a message that God is not an anthropomorphic God sitting on a throne with a little black book saying, okay, Carter, that's 2. More, all right. No, our God is energy. Our God is light. Our God is love. And Ernest Holmes said it best. He was a mystic in our times. If you have not read the Science of Mind textbook, and I read it every day, he said that it's not only a mechanical force, it's a warm and loving presence. And it can only be a warm and loving presence when we greet each other, when we feel the energy of those hugs and we strengthen our immune system. Rick Kalo and Rob Roy, Conklin, and Susan McGrew out there, at the street fair giving free hugs. And it was so amazing because Rick blindfolded himself and put free hugs. And some people would kind of creep by and think, oh, God, that's scary. And others would say, hey, this is fantastic. Go up and give the biggest hugs. And one person told him that she had not been hugged in 1 full year. And she just, can I have another one? That energy of love that unites us, that moves beyond color, race, creed, or sexual orientation. Because our God is a God of oneness. Ubuntu, I am, because we are. And it is about the collective consciousness. It's about when I resolve to evolve. The greatest invitation in this wonderful book that Neil wrote was, let's make it a win-win in an ours universe. Stop all this other us and them and all the things that we go through and to separate ourselves. I am because we are. And through that collective consciousness, we raised the energy of the planet. And as I thought about our community, we have a very, very amazing community at Interfaith Spiritual Center worldwide. A divine idea in the mind of God whose time has come. The time is now and the place is where we are. Because you know what? We're about service. We're about sacred service. So if it's serving at the street fair and giving free hugs, and how wonderful to have that energy out into the universe. Whether it's Kim Laidlaw, who is now one of the directors of Animal Samaritans and asked me to come and do a collective blessing of all the animals down in Palm Desert at they have an annual fair for all the animals and the adoptions and the energy coming together. So Jeff Stahl and I were up there and he said, and you're going to bless all the animals, and we just brought them all, the little four-leggeds together, and I said, hold them and repeat after me. And we have a wonderful thing, it's called If My Dog Was My Teacher. And it's absolutely marvelous. And I had everyone repeat after me. And energetically, we could feel that love, because our love includes all life. Our love moves beyond all of it to embrace every plant, every mineral. And whenever I go away, I go into the mineral shop and I feel the energy. And a friend of mine said, do you really feel that? I said, I really feel the energy. I feel the energy of plants. I've got that plant that Mama Hernandez gave me 10 years ago, and I just blessed that little plant. It just does beautifully. And I can feel it when things need water. When we're in tune with the infinite, we can feel life. We can feel energy. We can feel it. I remember when my daughter was 16 years old and we went to Cancun for the week, and there's this massive rock and this formation that's just amazing. It's like ancient. And I went out and I just said, oh, feel the energy. Oh, it's just fantastic. And she turned and she goes, Mom, can't a rock just be a rock? I said, I feel it. I relate to it. So as we relate to life, so does life relate to us. I was talking to my dermatologist, and it's so interesting. I had a mole that bugged me for at least 60 years. And then it started growing, so my daughter said, it's going to take on a life of its own. I can see eyes forming. So I went to have it removed, and within seconds, it was removed. I mean seconds. And I had like put up with the thing for 60 years. I said, in the twinkling of an eye, we can release something if we make that decision. And then he said, you know, I'm terrified of growing old. And I said, that's really interesting that you should say that, because you can grow old or you can grow in grace and wisdom. And when we grow in grace and wisdom, we open a whole new space. And so I told him about my life when I turned 70. You know, suddenly I'm on the Nobel Peace Prize Commission. I'm going to Oslo, Norway several times a year. I sat with Malala when she won the Nobel Peace Prize. I marched in that peace march with my candle down the lane in Oslo, Norway. It was an amazing experience. I was then unanimously voted in as the International Foundation for World Peace and Research president. Now, there are doctors and physicists from India and Hamburg, Germany, and Amsterdam, and they're all doctors and physicists, and they do all these amazing things. And I said, you're all, you know, more qualified than me. And they said, no, we're not. We have unanimously chosen you. You're the one. You have taught us. And I was just so humbled that the energy was so pure and so loving that we could see each other's gifts. And the truth is, I loved every single moment of going to all the countries and the people, because a smile is love. And Mother Teresa said it best, didn't she? Peace begins with a smile. Peace begins with a smile. So that opens the heart energetically. And when I went to Roslyn Chapel, where allegedly the Holy Grail is buried, there's a place in the chapel where everyone stands, you know, to feel that energy, because it's supposed to be buried under the sacred space. And so I saw people up there, and some were giggling and laughing, and everyone said, oh, I don't feel anything, you know, and taking pictures and all of that. And I just kind of went back a few days later, much later in the day when all the tourists were gone, and I just sat in that chapel, and the history of this chapel, and the energy. And it's a realization that we are that which we are seeking. We are the Holy Grail. That is what we carry with us. Remember, when Joseph of Arimathea, he wanted Jesus' body when it was taken down from the cross and put it in his tomb. But the Holy Grail, he was held up to collect the blood of Jesus. And I thought, the very life force blood of us as a species, flowing through all of life and every living thing. Everything is quickened by Christ consciousness. Everything. The Buddha nature, the holy I am presence. It's all one. So you can stand in these amazing sacred spaces, and I love it. And I love going to Glastonbury and experiencing the graves of Arthur and Guinevere, that their bodies were discovered there centuries ago by the monks. And we feel these energies, but yet there is a deep connection with all of us. And that we really don't have to go anywhere. We can be right where we are and tune in at any moment and allow ourselves to move beyond space and time. Because remember that God is not about space and time. That's our invention. Man has sought out many, many inventions, right? Many inventions. So when we realize that, we can go within to the secret place of the Most High to pray to our Father, Mother, God in secret, and to know that we are acknowledged openly by the outward demonstrations of our lives. Ubuntu, I am, because we are. And that we are this collective energy moving forward. And as we feel that oneness, and it moves beyond all of it. And we all have a thing about the fundamentalists and Bible thumpers and all of that, and I was raised in fundamentalism, but I had a very positive experience of it with very loving people. I didn't have this other fringe. And when I was sharing with my dermatologist, because he wanted to know, about what I thought about all these fringe things that are going on with the Muslims, I said, I find that they're some of the most loving people. I said, you take any religion, and you take the fanatics within the religion, and then you color the collective with what the few are doing. I said, it's unfair. It's a judgment that really, it's not our judgment. And we're not here to judge that. We're here to heal it. We're here to send love. We're here to move beyond all of what's being expressed, because it's a call for love. Remember the Course in Miracles. Every loving thought is true, and everything else is a call for healing or help, regardless of the form it takes. And sometimes it's really hard to take when it's the form, and we don't relate to it. And sometimes our energy just like, we react, and then we forgive ourselves, and we move past that, because we're all subject to the human condition. Every one of us. Every one of us, we're subject to it. We're going to react at times. We're going to not be who we are and have our special, little moods at times. And then to get off it and to move past it and to realize that we are in a way of life that absolutely affirms us, that loves us, that allows us to be exactly who we are. So when I look at our community, I look and I see we're a community of sacred service. Look at everything that Fleet Easton has done for Well in the Desert. Every major event, he was there. He served every single day for years. He sang. You served, you sang, you did. When I think of all the things that we do in our community, and on every level, on every single level, that we have a ministry. Some of it looks like the ministry of design, and some of it looks like the ministry of our sacred four-leggeds, and some of it looks like the ministry of giving beautiful, unconditional hugs on the street. But it's all I am because we are. It's all that energy. I want to really acknowledge our community. I want to acknowledge energetically that you are all amazing, and that it's an honor and a privilege, and I want this to go out on the airwaves. It's an honor and a privilege to serve this ministry at Interfaith Spiritual Center worldwide, and to be with people that are so loving and so giving and so wonderful that I just feel very humbled by it and very honored to serve in this way. And as you know, in October 12th, will be my 40th year in the ministry. And it just only gets better and gets deeper with more substance and more energy. So today, I salute you, I love you, I acknowledge you, and what I know is, where are we going? Higher yet. Where? Higher yet. Where? Higher yet. And so it is. God bless you. It's 7 o'clock tonight, and she said to me, this is nothing short of a miracle, that you can drop your credit card. And what happened is, when I slid it into my purse, it went clear through and landed. The rap music was so loud in the kid's car, I didn't hear it drop. And I wanted to kind of get out of that energy. And I just thought, that which I am seeking is seeking me. That when we resolve to evolve, that we can lose a credit card in Europe, and the next day it's returned to us, because with God, what? All things are possible to them that believe. It is done unto us as we believe in our hearts. Do you agree? Absolutely. And I only share that story with you because I know at the deepest level that that which we are seeking is seeking us, because we are going where? Higher yet. Where are we going? Higher yet. Higher yet. That's where we're going. And to have that faith as a grain of mustard seed, and to know that there is only one. God bless you. I love you, and onward and upward.